Hello, everyone. Welcome to God's Prepared Warrior live stream. And we do this every Monday night at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And thank you guys for joining me, you guys here on YouTube, and all of you over here on TikTok. And tonight I'm excited because we have a great topic for tonight. And I will throw a shout out. God, appreciate that 5x5. And I want to thank Glenn for giving me a heads up on the topic for tonight. So here in a little while, when we get to our lesson for tonight, right, we're going to talk about what happens over there will eventually happen over here. So I want to share what's happening over there and kind of look at what does that look like for us as God's prepared warriors. So let's go ahead and kick this off. Let's look at our warrior briefing for today. Our warrior briefing is all about you guys and what you're doing here on the channel. It's like I was telling my TikTok friends a while ago that, you know, without you guys, this is just me talking. And so all of you guys make this channel what it is. And so I'm thankful for all of your likes, all of your comments on all the videos. What you guys are doing. So let's look at that. Over on YouTube, we are at 1,196 followers. We actually gained 3 new followers or subscribers over the week. And so since last Monday, so that's pretty awesome. Over in TikTok, we stayed the same. We're at 4,186 followers there. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. You guys are super awesome. Over on our God's Prepared Warrior Facebook page, we have 279 followers there. Now, also on Facebook in the groups tab, if you're on Facebook, I also have a groups page called God's Prepared Warrior Community. And so that specific page by itself is kind of like what you would call the subscription page, just that it's free. In the truck, waiting for my business partner to arrive so that we can start the coffee business that Saturday morning. So, you know, it's just stuff like that. It's the stuff you probably won't see on all of these channels, but over on the groups our groups tab in Facebook, if you find God's Prepared Warrior Community, join that community. Just answer the 3 questions, and I'll let you in, and you get to see all that extra stuff over there for free, right? So join that community. We're sitting there at 49 members there. So come on over and join that community. Over on X, we are at 1,044, and we gained 3 new followers there on X, and that's pretty awesome. Over on the Gram, we are sitting at 1,252 followers, and we gained 9 followers over. We are at 15 for the week, so that's pretty awesome. So thank you guys for joining, subscribing, commenting, sharing the content. This helps out a lot, and so, you know, keep doing it, right? Because it throws us out there a little further. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Fernando. I am God's Prepared Warrior, and my channel is all about preparedness in the physical and also in the spiritual. And so we look at preparation and God all together and how they work. And so that's my channel. The stuff ain't going to save you. It's going to be a relationship with God. So, you know, we look at all of that together, right? So, all right. So let's get into the Watchtower Report. The Watchtower Report are some things that I see out on the news, and I shared with you guys. Stay prepared, because when we're vigilant, we're going to know how to prepare, right? So that's just the important thing. All right, so let's look at the Watchtower Report. If you are following me here on YouTube, all of the links that I'm going to share with you guys right now are in the description for today's live. So if you want to follow along, I'm going to start on number one, and we're going to go through it from there. That way, all of you guys have access to that, and you can see what I'm talking about. And this kind of just gives us a look of what is either coming or what's happening, and it helps us stay vigilant and to be prepared as well. All right. So this one is coming from USA Today, and it says dangerous record smashing heat wave to scorch millions. So if you if you look at the picture that is being used for this, right? And it's the whole United States. Even that little place over there called Maine is in the hot. So I don't know how hot Maine will get. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Salt Mist will tell us how hot it is, right? Can you guys see me? No video. What's going on? I see that I am good. OVP, welcome in, my friend. Can you guys see me? Let me see if I can. Psalmist says 64 degrees. Okay, I guess you guys can see and hear me. Psalmist is saying 64 degrees. Wow, that you mean like current, like right now? OVP says nope. Okay, let me see. Let me see what I can do. Um, I am trying to get us back online. Let's see. Um, mm-mm. Give me a second, guys. Mm, what if I change my camera? Oh, that looks ugly. That's why I don't use that camera. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can change that. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, how about now? Can you guys see me now? Sound is 5x5, but no video. What about now? Nope. Huh. That's pretty crazy weird. Okay, let me see what happens if I dump this. All right, let's see. Can you guys see me now? Can you guys hear me at least? So is that no to video or no to sound? I'm kind of lost. I know TikTok can hear me and see me. I guess no to see me. Is that what y'all are saying? There you are. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Awesome. Well, we're back on track. Okay. All right. So going back to the USA Today news article, dangerous record smashing heat wave is going to scorch millions. So this thing is moving all across the United States, and it's going as far north as Chicago, all the way up to New York. So all of our states are going to be seeing record heat waves coming up this week. So, there's your temperature, and then there's the feels like temperature, and those are two different things, right? So in the shade, it's the regular temperature. In the blistering sun, it is the feels like. So I want all of you, if you haven't seen my video I made today, I'm talking about the heat, and I'm talking about in there what you should do, how you should prepare for that heat wave that's coming, because it's coming, and here in Texas, it's already here. So I've been riding my motorcycle over the weekend, and so I'm pretty sure I'm a darker shade today. So yeah, it is pretty hot. OVP says it's sitting right over the Ohio Valley. Yeah, see, and Salt Mist is suffering over there with that 64-degree temperature. Right now, we are at 85 degrees, and today's high was 94, and the feels like I think was around 99 today. So this morning we were at 75. So, we have this great span of temperature here in Texas, and it just goes all the way to full blast hot. So we're used to it. We're used to it. MS Costa, welcome in, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. You are joining right at the right time. Everybody can now see me. Yeah. All right. So that was the first one. The next one is coming from CNN, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but the heat wave is not just here in America. It is also hitting Europe, right? So European summers are getting brutally hot, according to CNN here. And it says, so why is air conditioning so rare in Europe, right? Well, if you think about it, Europe is I think it's a little further north than what we are. Maybe, I think so. And so they never really used to have to worry about heat. And all of a sudden, since the earth is just boiling, right? Now they are being affected. And so it says here, brutal heat waves are coming more frequently in Europe, leaving millions of people struggling to adapt to punishing record-breaking temperatures. Air conditioning is very rare in European homes. Many residents ride out the searing heat with the help of electric fans, ice packs, and cold showers. But Europe hasn't approached heat in the same way as historically hotter United States. So while nearly 90% of U.S. homes have air conditioning, Europe has around 20% of air conditioning in their homes. And so, climate is changing, right? And so those guys are actually going through a heat wave also. So I thought that was interesting. If you're not used to it, I'm going to tell you, it's not fun. especially if you live in a humid area like I do, and it's just humid all the time. Hey, Rule, welcome in, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Grace, Grit and Grace, welcome in, my friend. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. So yeah, I mean, here in the United States, we're at 90% of air conditioning in all homes. So Europe is about to really feel it, right? Here's the next one. This one's coming out of, I think this is coming out of, Madison County in Kentucky, right? This says 3 killed in Madison County flooding. So we have heat wave coming on, hitting the United States, something we have to prepare for, right? Except for salt mist. And then other parts of the U.S. is experiencing lots and lots of rain. We just went through all of that ourselves here in Texas. And now in Kentucky, there is serious flooding in Madison County. And 3 people have already lost their life in that flooding. So keep these families in prayer. I just thought that was important, since we're talking a little bit about extreme weather. That is still something that is going to happen. And then we're hearing over on our end here in Texas that we might see more thunderstorms coming our way. I'll welcome them, strictly because it's so dang hot over here. That's why I go camping in the wintertime, man. So yeah, like I said, today was 94, and the feels like temperature was like, I think 99 to 100 today. So yeah, it was hot today. It was hot over the weekend when I was on my motorcycle ride. So yeah, it was blistering hot. All right, this next one is coming from the U.S. Department of the Interior. Here's another thing, right, that's happening. We're having wildfires that are happening right now in Colorado. And so this post from the U.S. Department of the Interior talks about the 3 firefighters who lost their lives. And there's 3 of them. 2 of them were 27 years old, both males. The third was 38 years old, and she was a female. So these 3 have lost their lives fighting this wildfire that's happening in Colorado. And so we have extreme heat, we have flooding, and then we have just fires that are happening in Colorado. So there's just a myriad of things weather-wise that we should be watching out for and happening. And so let's keep these families in prayer who have lost their loved ones. I think it's important for us as God's prepared warriors to keep praying for them. OVP says, I'd like a good thunderstorm too, but they always miss my little area. Your place sounds like my place. MS Costa says, shade, breeze, and a chilled beverage. Amen to that, my friend. That is true. OVP says, big fire in Utah also. Okay, so that's another place that we need to keep in prayer too as well. Thank you, OVP, for sharing that. Yeah, those are devastating. And then there is, people living in the path, and then there are those who are fighting it. So lots to be in prayer for. So let's keep all of that in prayer too as well. This next one is coming from the AP. I just thought that there's something to this. It says Luigi Mangione gets stuck in an elevator as the judge delays his federal trial until January. So he got stuck in an elevator. He was supposed to appear in court today, but apparently he was stuck in an elevator. And so they're postponing all of this until January. So I don't know if he's stuck in the elevator till January, or something happened in the elevator, or I don't know. It is confusing to me of why we would wait. I mean, unless they're just that book, right? And I'm pretty sure they are. But I just thought that was hilarious that this guy gets stuck in an elevator and you know what? Let's just postpone it till January. Insane. Insane. OVP, how convenient. Exactly. Oh man. We gotta have a good laugh sometimes, right? All right, this next one is coming from the Hill. This says Supreme Court to hand down final decisions tomorrow for the birthright citizenship. So this is something to look out for tomorrow. This is probably going to be in the news a lot tomorrow. The Supreme Court is going to hand down their remaining opinions from all of this. So that's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure the media will be there. They're going to be talking about the birthright citizenship, and then they're going to be talking about transgender athlete bans and the campaign finance stuff. So be vigilant to that. That's going to be coming out tomorrow, and I think something important for us to pay attention to. MS Costa says stuck or stuck. Yeah, that's right. All right, so here's the last two, and this is important, I think, for us to pray about and to watch, because I think we are getting to the start of what could be something really big, right? Okay, so this is coming from the BBC, and it says Putin makes rare admission of fuel shortages caused by the Ukrainian strikes. So in Russia, the impact of Ukraine's missile and drone strikes on energy infrastructure from Moscow to the Black Sea and beyond has long been evident. But Putin has been straight-faced about everything, right? But here, recently, he has said that he's admitting that now there are fuel shortages. So what does that mean? That can mean a million and one things, right? It can mean we're gonna ramp this up because now we're getting hit pretty hard. It could mean we're gonna ramp this up because now we're facing fuel shortages, and when you face fuel shortages, we've been talking on this channel, though, begin the ripple effects of everything else that's affected by that, right? Let's see. MS Coast says Putin is laying the groundwork. Yeah, and is going to get. Yeah, it is. That's what I was thinking today when I was reading that. And to back that up, okay. Now that came from the BBC. Now to back that one up, here, this one is from Naval News. Okay, and it says Saab receives order for 3 A-26 submarines for Poland. Okay, let me read this to you. It says Saab has today signed a contract with Polish State Treasury Armaments Agency and received an order for the production and delivery of 3 A-26 type submarines. The contract also encompasses a weapons package and a training and support package. The order value corresponds approximately, it says SEK 47 billion. Saab will deliver continuously with the final delivery scheduled during 2038. So, yeah, I would say if the world over there is ramping up for war, yeah, it could be coming down. And you know what, guys? We have to stay vigilant to that. We have to know that that's happening. We got to pray, right? We're not to fear. This channel is not about fear. It's about being vigilant to the things that are happening, and then taking action and preparing for what we see coming, right? We don't have an hourglass. We don't have, any kind of thing that tells us the future, but we can be vigilant. Therefore, we can be prepared, right? All right. So that was your Watchtower report. Let's get into your warrior lesson for tonight, taking kind of all of that into account. I want to talk about tonight, if it can happen over there, could it happen here? And so tonight I want to discuss something that was shared with me by our brother Glenn. He shared this with me this weekend, and I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I can see it, because he shared with me one link, but I found several more links, several news links, and then several YouTube channels from across the pond of people over there talking about it. And so I want to bring it out tonight, and so you guys know. So the United Kingdom over in Europe over there, they are considering tighter regulations on crossbows after several violent crimes. Okay. This it raises an interesting preparedness question. Okay. Could something similar to what is happening in Europe happen here in the United States? Now, before we kind of jump into that, let's establish something important, right? Tonight is not about politics, and it's also not about fear, right? Because we don't do that here. I want you to be aware of what's happening, and I want to thank Glenn for sharing that with me, because this is going to be really neat. So I want to get into it, and hopefully we can get all the way through it tonight, right? And it's also not about predicting the future, but it's about learning how we as prepared warriors think, right? Because every news story should cause us to ask a simple question of, if something changed tomorrow, would I be ready, right? So that's the first question for tonight. If something changed tomorrow, would I be ready, right? How many of you heard about this proposed crossbow restrictions before tonight? Tell me, yes, I heard it, or no, I have not heard of this the first time, right? Throw that out in the chat. Because I think this is an important thing for us to pay attention to, right? The world is constantly changing. We have to understand this. We're not ever going to go back to what was normal, right? Normal's not coming back, right? I always say normal's not coming back, but Jesus is, right? That's what I always say. Psalmist says, yes, I heard it last night. Okay, great. See, you're being vigilant. That's awesome. So if there's anything in history that teaches us, is this: nothing stays the same forever, right? Nothing stays the same. Scott says, no, I haven't heard. Okay. Technology changes, governments change, laws change, cultures change, economics change, right? All of that changes. But we don't panic when changes happen. God's prepared warriors don't panic when changes happen. We adapt, right? Why? Because we're vigilant. And when we're vigilant, we kind of have an indication of things to come sometimes, right? When we look at it weather-wise, right? We can look at an app, we can listen to the news, and that's forecasted for us. Rain is coming. It's Monday. Rain is coming on Friday. We should know that we're probably going to get rain anywhere between Wednesday and what was said about Friday, because it changes, right? And so one of the biggest mistakes that, people make is assuming that tomorrow will always look like today. And that's not true. It's not true at all. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's not true. And preparedness means recognizing that circumstances will change, right? We know that change is going to happen. We know that change, it's not going to stop, right? So here's the next question for you guys. What is one thing that you've seen change dramatically during your lifetime? Think about that. What is one thing that you have seen change dramatically during your lifetime, right? I think that's something, for me, it's, things are a lot harder now, right? Today, one of the things that gets me is, 2 and 3 times authentication to just read your email, right? Just log into social media. You have to, send a thing to your phone. You got to put in a code. You got to, if you're on TikTok, you got to put together, some kind of puzzle piece. And there's all this, and I get it, right? Because there are people that are trying to do bad things online. And so, they're trying to steal our identity. They're trying to take away they're trying to get into our money accounts, and they're trying to steal from us. I get all of that. But for me, that's one of the things that I don't like. But we have to move with that change, right? OVP says everything. Yeah, everything. You're right, brother. You're exactly right. Scott says politics. We are seeing actual communists getting elected. Yeah, you're right. We're seeing all of that. We're seeing, other countries being, how can I say it? Being in leadership positions in our country. If I was to move to Russia, would I be able to be part of their society as far as, being part of their laws and things? No, because I'm not Russian, right? And so, yeah, I think that we are seeing a lot of things changing. I think OVP's right. Everything is changing, right? Here's the next thing. Don't build your preparedness around one tool, right? Knowing that these things are happening over there and they could happen here. Yeah, it could. But there's one thing that's kind of stopping that from happening here, and that is our Constitution, right? And so, yeah, that is the thing that kind of is different between us and Europe, right? So don't build your preparedness around one tool, right? So let's say, to think about this, right? That one day, certain equipment became harder to buy. What then, right? What if you have not prepared your communication plan yet, right? You haven't been building that plan, and all of a sudden you're like, I need to build my communication plan, and all of a sudden you can't get those things anymore, right? What then? What do you do, right? If all your confidence depends on one piece of gear, right, you've built a weak preparedness plan. So we have to understand that we have to build layers, right? We have to build in our skills, right? It's important for us to learn new skills. I will say to those that are preparing, and they're like, I'm going to get a first aid kit. I'm going to tell you, go beyond the first aid kit. Learn a skill when it comes to first aid. Learn stop the bleed. Learn how to pack a wound, learn how to sew a wound, learn all of that. Go beyond the first aid kit. Anybody can put a Band-Aid on. Anybody can slap gauze and tape on. But what if there is um, something bigger? And what if we would just build our skills around that, right? We should be building on our skills. It doesn't have to be first aid. It can be so many other things, right? We should be learning, right? Knowledge is important. I did a video not too long ago about going and getting books from like Goodwill and places like that. In the event the internet goes down and now we don't have Google anymore, because we go to Google for everything, right? And so, what can we find in a book form that helps us, that helps build our skills, our knowledge, right? I think we also need to build within ourselves experience, right? Don't be afraid to learn new things, right? I never was into communications, and now all of a sudden I've jumped into the deep end of the pool on that, and I have learned communications. I have my GMRS license. I'm still studying for my ham radio license, and so don't stop learning. Get the experience, learn, stay in faith, right? Stay in community, because that's important. Lone wolves aren't going to make it. I'm just being honest with you. Build your supplies, right? Those things are important. Equip. Being equipped is helpful, right? But equipment is just having the equipment and not ever using it is not preparedness. It's just you having things, right? Knowledge is the thing that's important. Learn how to use those. That's why I always say practice with your preps, right? Don't just buy a flashlight and put it on a shelf somewhere and forget where it is and never put new batteries in it, never charge it, and all of a sudden there's an outage and you need your flashlight, you go get it and it doesn't work, right? I've seen that with my family. It happened, and Dad came to save the day. But it's important for us to learn those things, to practice with our preps. So here's the third question for all of you. If you lost one important piece of gear tomorrow, what skill would help you overcome it? I think that's a great question. What if you lost one important piece of gear tomorrow, and what skill would help you overcome it? I think that's a great question. All right, let's as you guys put that in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and move on, but I'll come back. The next one is build skills that no one can take away. Now, skills never expire, all right? Skills never expire. No one can confiscate your knowledge. So invest your time in learning. I have always been that person. I have experienced so many things, and that I can say that because I have never stopped learning, right? It's important to learn first aid, learn CPR, learn gardening. That's important. Learn water purification. Those skills are important. Learn radio communication. Those things are important, because if cell phones go down, how are you going to communicate with your family, right? Learn how to start a fire from nothing, right? Maybe it's you have a rock and you have a piece of steel, and you slam those two things together and you create a spark, and you catch maybe some dried up grass or some hay or whatever, and you start a fire in that way. Maybe you have a flint and steel, or a I'm sorry, I just said that, a ferro rod, right? And use the back of your knife to strike and make fire, right? Maybe use fuel tabs. Whatever it is you have, learn how to start a fire, right? Learn cooking from scratch. The best cooking that I love is outside. I love cooking outside. I love cooking when I go camping. It's just so much better. than in the house. I don't know. I can't describe it other than I can't wait till November when I go and it's not so hot. We need to learn, uh, you know, situational awareness, guys. That's important. We live in a day and age where we can't just walk around willy nilly anymore. We have to pay attention to what's happening. We have to learn how to de escalate conflict. It's important, right? Every one of those skills makes you more valuable to your family, to your group, to your friends, to your neighbors. All of that helps other people, right? By you learning a new skill. Um, Hello, I have shady internet out camping. Shelly's out camping. Look at you, Shelly. Welcome in, Shelly. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, you got to send us some pictures, man. I'm here dying of not going outside and camping yet, and you're already camping. All right. Hopefully, it's not hot where you are. All right. Here's the question number 4. What preparedness skill are you currently working on? I am currently working on getting my ham license. I'm studying. I'm not a really good studier, so it's going to take a little bit for me. Um, MS Costa says outdoor cooking is the best. My grills are set up under the oaks. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Um, Saltman says, Shelly, happy camping. So yeah, so what preparedness skills are you currently working on? I'm working on my ham license. Hopefully I can get that soon. And I am already working on building an antenna for my ham radios where I can reach out further. So I'm working on that. That is pretty cool. OVP says comms. I just got my Meshtastic set up. Still learning how it works. Yay. Well, bring it with you, my friend, in November, and you're going to see a plethora of of nodes here in the area where I live, and you're going to be able to communicate with a lot of people. And that's one of the courses I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach GMRS, and I'm going to talk on Meshtastic too. So that's awesome. Keep that up, my friend. All right, let's move into the next one. Know your laws. This is important, right? We don't ignore laws. God's prepared warriors don't ignore the laws. We understand them, right? We know that they're there, and we know that they what they are, and we don't just willy nilly, walk around with, just because I live in Texas, walk around with a gun on my hip and I can pull it out when I want to. No, there are rules and laws that go with that thing. And so it's important for you to know your state laws. It's important for you to know your local ordinances. If you're going hunting, there's regulations you got to know. Here in Texas, different parts of the state have different types of things that you can acquire, right? You can hunt year round certain types of deer, and there's only certain types of deer in season that you can hunt. And then there are other animals that you can hunt year round. And so it's important to know that, so that you're not caught by the game warden, because they're out and about all the time, right? So it's important to learn those hunting regulations. And you can't say you didn't know, because when you go to Walmart, they give you a free book on what all of that information is. You can go online and it's free to see there. So learn those things. No self-defense laws. There's self-defense laws. You can't just karate chop someone just because they made you mad. I'm just saying. It's important for you to just be informed of your laws. Question number 5 is, have you ever actually read your state's emergency management website? I have. I have read the state's emergency management website, and I have read the city and where I live, their emergency management website, and this is why I'm trying to get out of here, because I don't think they know what they're doing. So yeah, yeah, and I don't want to be part of that team because I live in a liberal city. So yeah. So have you ever done that? MS Costa says yes, almost required reading in the coastal zones. Good, good, good. All right. Yeah, I think that's important. This is where we gain knowledge, guys, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Don't wait until tomorrow. That's what this one's called. Don't wait until tomorrow. Many people wait until something is restricted, right? Or, for example, this is a great example. Remember when the vid happened, right? COVID, right? And all of a sudden, you couldn't go buy ammo. I mean, you could, but you were limited to a certain amount of ammo that you could leave the store, right? You as an individual, right? And so, people waited until that, and I was one of them. And you could only. I remember, I'm like, well, I have a 22, I have a 9 millimeter, I have a 40 millimeter at the time, and um, I need ammunition, and you only could leave the Academy Sports store with only 2 boxes of ammunition. And I'm like, huh, well, that's going to take me a long time to, stockpile. And it did until all of that was lifted, right? So many people wait until things are restricted, and then they scramble, right? And then we see the lines like we saw then, right? But prepared warriors think ahead. We know that everything is kind of okay right now. There are blips and ripple effects happening here and there, not really too much affecting us. Gas is kind of coming down a little bit. Prices are still kind of high in the grocery store, but we think ahead, right? Prepared warriors think ahead. You know, maybe today is better than tomorrow or next year, right? Not because we're afraid, but because procrastination has a cost, right? And the same principle applies to food. It applies to water. It applies to medical supplies and training, right? And so here's the sixth question. What's one preparedness project you've been putting off? What is that one thing you've been putting off, right? Um, let's see. MS Costa says, or I'm sorry, Scott says, alternate bug out location, money. Yeah. No, I know how you feel, Scott. I truly know how you feel. Um, you know, I'm gonna share my thing, right? Because I live in a big city, and I don't have the funds to say, well, I'm gonna go buy this ranch out in the sticks somewhere, or on a mountain somewhere, and that's where we're gonna rent you. That's the great idea that I, would love to do one day, is own a piece of property like that. But I can't. But what can I do, right? So I have friends who have property, and I have asked my friends and said, "Hey, if poop ever hits the fan, could I just come and lay here? Like, I don't need to move into your house. I just, can set up a camp, and we can camp out as much as we can. And depending on the situation and what's happening, if it's okay with you, we build something together, because, I'm not going to stay in this city. It's going to go nuts. Right. And so I've made those provisions, and, I have options. And so, Scott, I would encourage you, who do you know that, you can lean on and say, hey, if anything was to ever go wrong, can I pitch a tent here? That's what I did. And I got so many yeses. I'm like, great. So now I just got to put all that together and really figure out that plan, right? Really figure out the end goal for that, right? So what's one preparedness project you've been putting off? Um, MS Costa says, I'm with Scott. Things have changed dramatically. Yes, they have. All right, let's move to the next lesson. We are trucking right along. This one says, build community before you need it, right? I've been talking about this on the channel. No one survives alone, and that is a true statement. No one is ever going to survive alone. Eventually, you're going to run out of things, right? And if you are on the move, maybe you're on a piece of property and you're doing it by yourself, people can come by in hordes and take things away from you, and you're only one person, right? It's important to build community before you need it. That is an important thing, right? So one of the greatest preps isn't equipment, it's people, right? It's knowing your neighbors, it's building relationships, right? Maybe it's the people in your church. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe your church becomes a rally point, right? Maybe it's somewhere where you volunteer, right? Where you gain those friends, right? And you become friends with them. And all of a sudden, now you're a group, right? Maybe it's you taking preparedness classes and meeting people there, right? But it's important for us to find people who share your values, right? Community multiplies preparedness so many ways, right? And you gain people who know specific skills that maybe you don't, right? I am not a mechanic, and I have a few people on in my circle that are mechanics. Praise the Lord for that, because I'm not a mechanic. So, do you know someone in your community who has skills that you don't? That's an important thing to have. Community is important. It's an important thing to have, and to know people who have skills that you might not have. That's an important thing. Scott Hummer says, yes. Yes to the importance of community, I imagine. All right. Here's the next one. Avoid fear-based thinking, right? The internet loves fear. It does. And every headline becomes, they're coming for this. The end is near. The sky is falling, right? If you know some YouTube channels like that. But prepared warriors don't react emotionally. And you hear me talking about this all the time, right? We ask questions like, we ask questions to, is this true? I'm always, Salt Miss and I are always back and forth. Hey, did you see this? And she'll say, yeah, I did see that, but it's not true. And she'll share with me, and so we bump off each other and we learn from each other, right? And that's important. We have to ask questions. We have to find out, is this true or not? Because the internet wants to sell fear, right? And they want to misinform us. So it's important for us to verify information, right? And then we separate the facts from the rumors. And that's an important thing too, right? Fear clouds judgment, but wisdom brings clarity, which is so important. So here's the next question. How do you determine whether a news story is accurate before sharing it, right? That's an important thing. I am going to bump it off Salt Mist, because Salt Mist is really, really smart. And she and I have conversations and we talk about these things, and she'll say, no, I don't think that one's true, Fernando. Let me show you why. And so I'm like, okay, you got this. Let's see. MS Costa says, avoid fear porn at all costs. Yes, MSN is banned from my home. That's a good thing. That is true, my friend. That is very true. All right, so we're finishing up here. What is the spiritual lesson here? What is the warrior intelligence for all of this, right? The question, I think, is, where is our confidence? So tonight we've talked about changing laws. We talked about changing cultures. We talked about technology that's changing. We talked about the changing of times. We But one thing never changes. And I want you guys to know this. It's God, right? Hebrews 13:8 says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that is so comforting for us, right? We know that governments will change. We know that policies will change. We know that markets will change. We see them fluctuating all the time, right? But our Savior does not change. He remains the same. And prepared warriors prepare because we are good stewards to what God has given to us, right? He's entrusted us with our families. He's entrusted us with our wife, with our husband, with our children. And it's important for us to be good stewards of those things that he has given to us. He's given to us a home. You're going to take care of that home. He's given you a car, and you're going to take care of that car. You're not just going to run it to the ground. You're going to take it to get the air in the tires. You're going to add new gas. You're going to change the oil. You're going to, change the water in your radiator from coolant to for the wintertime, right? You're going to do all of that because you want to be a good steward of that thing, right? It's an expensive piece. And it was provided to you by the Lord, right? Sure, you worked for it. Sure, you had input in that. And God opened the door for that, right? So it's important for us to be good stewards, right? We don't prepare because we're afraid, because Psalm 20, verse 7 says, some trust in chariots, shared this one the other day, and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord, our God, right? Think about that. That's an important thing, right? So today we might say some trust in technology, some trust in weapons, right? Some trust in money, in government, but we, as God's prepared warriors, we trust in the Lord. And that doesn't mean that we ignore preparation. Noah built the ark. Joseph stored grain. Nehemiah built the walls, right? And the workers carried swords, right? Preparation and faith are not enemies. They are partners. And we, as God's prepared warriors, we prepare wisely. And I think that's important because we trust God completely. So tonight, I want to leave you with these 3 questions. Am I building skills that will serve my family for decades? And am I putting too much confidence in the equipment instead of knowledge? And if everything around me changed tomorrow, would my faith still be unshaken? I think those are important questions, right? Remember, we're not defined by what we own. We are defined by who we become. So it's important for us to stay informed. It's important for us to stay adaptable. It's important for us to stay faithful. It's important for us to stay vigilant. And it's important for us to stay prepared. So, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. And I just hope that this was a meaningful live stream tonight, because I want to encourage you. Yes, these things are happening and we're seeing them happen in our world, but God is not unaware of those things. He is fully aware. He is fully in control, and we should trust him with all of our heart, lean not on our own understanding, but acknowledge him in all of our ways, and he will direct our steps. So guys, have a great night tonight. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for all you do for God's Prepared Warrior Facebook, God's Prepared Warrior YouTube, God's Prepared Warrior TikTok over here. And thank you guys for commenting and sharing. I take all of that into account, just like tonight's lesson. I listen to you guys, and I love it when we get together. And so, well, this is a wrap for tonight, guys, and hope to see you next Monday. Same time, same station. Well, different link, but same station, right? Look forward to seeing y'all, guys. Have a great night. Praying for you. and see you on tomorrow's video. God bless.